David and Claire had been married for 6 years. Their relationship wasn't flawless, but David always believed it was rooted in love. Lately, however, something had shifted. Claire grew sharper with her words, more critical of David's efforts, and often compared him unfavorably to her friends' husbands. At first, David brushed it aside, convincing himself it was only a passing mood. But soon her behavior became impossible to ignore. One evening, Claire delivered what she called an ultimatum. If David truly loved her, she said, he would quit his stable job and invest in the business she had been dreaming about, no matter the risks or costs. David stayed calm and explained that their savings weren't enough and he wasn't willing to gamble away their future. Instead, he suggested they plan carefully and build up the money first. Claire scoffed, calling him dull and cowardly. The insult stung, but David kept his patience. He reminded her that financial security mattered to them both, especially since they had only recently paid off their mortgage. Claire didn't see it that way. She accused him of refusing to support her ambitions and warned that she would leave if he didn't comply. When David looked into her eyes, he realized she wasn't bluffing. She genuinely believed that such a childish demand would force his hand. The house grew tense in the days that followed. Claire slammed doors, tossed out sarcastic remarks, and openly told her friends that David was holding her back. She even hinted she might leave him. What she didn't notice was that each cruel word and dramatic act chipped away at the love David once felt. Then, after yet another argument, Claire smirked and said, "If you won't stand by me, maybe I should just pack my things and go." She expected him to panic, to beg her to stay. Instead, David rose quietly, walked to the closet, pulled out a suitcase, and set it in front of her. "Then go," he said firmly. Claire froze, stunned. She hadn't imagined this response. For the first time, she understood her tactic had failed. Rather than bending to her demands, David had finally reached his limit. Yet he wasn't angry, just finished. He had given her patience, affection, and understanding, but she had gambled it all away. She tried to soften her words, insisting she hadn't meant it, that it was only a test of his devotion. David shook his head. "Marriage isn't a game, Claire. Love isn't tested by threats. You ended what we had the moment you made me choose between stability and your pride." Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded for another chance, swearing she loved him. But David's decision was already made. He realized that real love doesn't come with ultimatums, nor does it manipulate someone into sacrifices they don't believe in. He was done living on eggshells, tired of feeling like her safety net instead of her partner. Within a week, Claire was gone. To their mutual friends, she painted herself as the victim, claiming David had discarded her. But when the truth surfaced, even her friends admitted she had gone too far. The ultimatum she thought would give her power had cost her everything. Though heartbroken, David felt an unexpected relief. His home was finally quiet, free of arguments and impossible demands. For the first time in years, he slept peacefully. Slowly he rebuilt his life, focusing on his career, reconnecting with family, and rekindling old friendships. Claire, meanwhile, realized too late what she had lost. She sent messages filled with apologies and promises, but David never replied. He knew forgiveness might come, but trust could never return to someone who had used love as a bargaining chip. In the end, Claire's ultimatum had destroyed her marriage. She had wagered and lost. David walked away wiser, carrying a painful but valuable lesson: love cannot survive without respect. And sometimes, the greatest strength lies in knowing when it's time to let go.